Hare Krishna. We continue reading from fourth chapter of Nectar of Devotion by Srila Prabhupada. A similar verse is found in the 8th canto, 3rd chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam, verse 20. Gajendra says there, "My dear Lord, I have no experience of the transcendental bliss derived from your devotional service, so therefore I have asked from you some favor. But I know that persons who are pure devotees and have, by serving the lotus feet of great souls, become freed from all material desires, always merged in the ocean of transcendental bliss, and as such are always satisfied simply by glorifying your auspicious characteristics. For them, there is nothing else to aspire to or to pray for." So this is Gajendra. We are going to read about him in the 8th canto, that he was so much in distress that he prayed to the Lord to free him from this distress. And then after he sees the Lord, that's when he's saying, see, I have no experience of pure devotional service. That's why I asked you to free me from distress. Otherwise, I should have asked you for pure devotional service. The devotees, they never ask you anything. They're just happy hearing and chanting your names. They have no material desires. They're always blissful. They're just satisfied hearing and chanting your names and glories. And
So
so
the
they don't need anything
distress,
else. Hmm?
sorry, Hare Krishna. So the distress was that he was caught by the crocodile, right?
Yeah,
Alligator,
yeah,
right? Mhm.
that's right. That's right. So we have been hearing the glories of pure devotional service, and that how the pure devotee, they don't want anything else except pure devotional service. Because they're experiencing so much bliss already. They're experiencing the highest bliss. So they don't want anything less than that. In the 9th canto of the Bhagavatam, 4th chapter, verse 67, the Lord of Vaikuntha replies to the Rasamuni thus: "My pure devotees are always satisfied being engaged in devotional service, and therefore they do not aspire, even after the 5 liberated stages." So this is 9th canto of Bhagavatam, where the Lord is speaking to Durvasa Muni, that my devotees, they don't want any kinds of the 5 kind of liberation. That is, 1, to be with me, to achieve residence on my planet, to have my opulences, to possess bodily features similar to mine, and to gain personal association with me. So when they're not interested, even in these liberated positions, you can know how little they care for material opulences or material liberation. So does anyone know the Sanskrit names of these 5 kind of liberation? To be one with me?
सायुज्य,
Yeah.
सालोक्य,
San,
सृष्टि, सारूप्य,
san.
सामीप्य.
Yeah. Thank you.
Mhm.
So the Lord is saying to the Rasamuni, my pure devotees, they just want to engage in my pure devotional service. They're just satisfied in that. We always hankering. I wish I had this, so I'll be happy. I wish the situation changes, then I'll be happy. I wish this happens, I'll be happy. We are always hankering. But the pure devotee, there's no hankering at all. He's just completely satisfied. The, how's he getting his bliss? He's constantly engaged in pure devotional service. So all his activities are for pleasing Krishna. We are wanting to please ourselves. So that's why we have this hankering and this lamentation. There's a similar prayer by the Nagapatnis, wives of the Kaliya serpent, in the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, 16th chapter, verse 37. The Nagapatnis say that, "Dear Lord, the dust of your lotus feet is very wonderful. Any person who is fortunate enough to achieve this dust does not care for heavenly planets, lordship over all the planetary systems, the mystic perfections of yoga, or even liberation from material existence." In other words, anyone who adores the dust of your lotus feet does not care a fig for all other perfectional stages. So the dust of the lotus feet, dust which is at the lotus feet of the Lord, can give one the highest bliss. Krishna Prema, no? The Nagapatnis, Kaliya's wives, they are saying to the Lord that somebody who you have touched your lotus feet on somebody's head, they have no material desire. They do not care to become even Lord Brahma. They do not want any kind of the Ashta Siddhi. They do not even want Sayujya Mukti. What they want is just to engage in your devotional service, because they are so everyone's thinking that Kaliya he's so sinful, and yet he's so fortunate that Krishna is dancing on his hoods. Krishna's lotus feet is touching his hoods, So it's a great, great fortune. Krishna does not kill Kaliya because of the wives. The wives prayed such beautiful prayers to Krishna. And so Krishna has touched Kaliya with his lotus feet. That's a great fortune. Being touched by the lotus feet of Krishna, or the dust of the lotus feet of the pure devotees, is very, very powerful. When the devotees enter Braj Bhumi, before they actually enter, then they'll roll in the dust, roll in the Braj Raj, because this dust, Krishna has walked on it. The pure devotees have walked on it. There's a similar statement in the 10th canto, 87th chapter, verse 21, wherein the Shrutis, the Vedas personified, pray to the Lord as follows. So the Shruti-charis, dear Lord, it is very difficult to understand spiritual knowledge. The Vedas are saying this, huh? It's very difficult to understand spiritual knowledge. Your appearance here, just as you are, is to explain to us this most difficult subject of knowledge of the Spirit. As such, your devotees who have left their domestic comforts to associate with the liberated acharyas, teachers, are now fully merged in the devotional service of your Lordship. And thus they do not care for any so-called liberation. In explaining this verse, it should be noted that spiritual knowledge means understanding the self and the supersoul or superself. So what is spiritual knowledge? We all want to know. We all want to have knowledge. But what is this knowledge? To understand ourselves and the supersoul. To understand the Atma and the Paramatma. The individual soul and the supersoul are qualitatively one, and therefore both of them are known as Brahman, or spirit. So Atma and Paramatma, the quality, they both are called Brahman. Quality is the same. We are Brahman. Paramatma is also Brahman. But knowledge of Brahman is very difficult to understand. What we are not able to understand is that the quantity is different. Quality is same, but the quantity is different. We are not Para Brahman. We are not Paramatma. We are the Atma, Jivatma, but not Paramatma. We are Brahman, but we are not Para Brahman. We are the souls, the minute souls. But Krishna, he's unlimited. He's God. We are part and parcel of God. So this knowledge is difficult to understand. There are so many philosophers engaged in the matter of understanding the soul, but they are unable to make any tangible advancement. This is confirmed in Bhagavad Gita, that out of many millions of persons, only one may try to understand what is spiritual knowledge, and out of many such persons who are trying to understand, only one or a few may know what is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So Krishna says that one may hear about the soul, but yet one may not understand the soul at all. He says this in Bhagavad Gita. So millions and millions people may try to understand the soul, but only one may be able to understand. And out of many of one, only one may be able to understand God. It's not easy to know Krishna. So this verse says that spiritual knowledge is very difficult to achieve. And so in order to make it more easily attainable, the Supreme Lord himself comes in his original form as Sri Krishna and gives his instruction directly to an associate like Arjuna, so that the people in general may take advantage of this spiritual knowledge. So Krishna, he's speaking the knowledge of Bhagavad Gita. He's instructing to Arjuna this spiritual knowledge. And same, he's instructing to us too. We are supposed to take up this knowledge and apply this knowledge. You see, the reason that we want to know something is we should apply that knowledge. Practical application of knowledge should be there. Otherwise, yes, we have knowledge, but when it is applied, that becomes a science. It becomes more useful. No, it's like, for example, somebody takes the trouble to study 10, 15 years to become a doctor, but does not practice the medicine. Now, what's the use? He took so much trouble. So much trouble, time, energy, effort, money wasted for what then? So similarly, spiritual knowledge also, what is the use to get this spiritual knowledge? We're going to engage our time and energy in the spiritual knowledge. But what do we have to do with it? We have to apply this knowledge. The application of spiritual knowledge is devotional service. So this verse also explains that liberation means having completely given up all the material comforts of life. Those who are impersonalists are satisfied by simply being liberated from the material circumstances. But those who are devotees can automatically give up material life and also enjoy the transcendental bliss of hearing and chanting the wonderful activities of Lord Krishna. So we may say, I want to give up the world, I'm detached from the world is false. So one may say that. And then the other person may also say, yes, I'm detached from the world, but I'm getting attached to Krishna. I'm engaged in hearing and chanting about Krishna. Because Krishna is not material. The knowledge of Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita is not material, it is spiritual. So by hearing and chanting about Krishna, one can revive our spiritual form and experience the highest bliss. We may think that happiness means material. No, but true happiness is spiritual. The bliss. We don't even know what is that bliss. In the material world, we don't even feel it. In material world, if we are temporarily relieved of some misery, we think that is happiness. But true happiness is in relation with Krishna. Because Krishna is the origin of all happiness. In the 11th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, 20th chapter, verse 34, Lord Krishna says to Uddhava, my dear Uddhava, the devotees who have completely taken shelter of my service are so steadfast in devotional service that they have no other desire. Even if they are offered the 4 kinds of spiritual opulences, they will refuse to accept them. So what to speak of their desiring anything with the material world? So here, why I said 4 kinds of spiritual opulences, Krishna's, because the 5th kind of liberation, merging with the Supreme, is not considered an opulence in spiritual variegated existence. So Krishna is telling to Uddhava in 11th canto, this is called Uddhava Gita, this part of Srimad Bhagavatam where Lord Krishna is instructing to Uddhava is called Uddhava Gita. And he's saying that the pure devotees who are surrendered, they are only engaged in pure devotional service. They have no other desire. They have no desire for the 4 kinds of liberation. Now, why is Krishna saying 4 kinds of liberation? Because the devotees don't even consider merging in the Brahman. as any way acceptable. They do not even accept that as liberation, because there's no spiritual variety there. They understand that it is still temporary. It's not a permanent position. So what to speak of their desiring anything within the material world? So Krishna is saying that the pure devotee does not even want spiritual opulence, like no sashti, samipya, salokya, like same opulence as the Lord, same form as the Lord, living in personal association with the Lord, or what's that? So then Krishna is saying, why will they need material desires? They have no material desire. Because after all, the material happiness is much lesser than spiritual happiness. Similarly, Lord Krishna says in another passage of the Bhagavatam, 11th canto, 14th chapter, verse 14, my dear Uddhav, a person whose consciousness is completely absorbed in my thought and activities does not aspire even to occupy the post of Brahma, or the post of Indra, or the post of lordship over the planets, or the 8 kinds of mystic perfections, or even liberation itself. So again, in Uddhav Gita, Krishna is saying to Uddhav that the pure devotee, what is he doing? He's completely, his mind is just fixed on Krishna, absorbed in my thought and activity. So everything he's doing is for the pleasure of Krishna. His center is Krishna. So then he does not want to engage in managerial affairs of the universe. He does not want to get into management, where he has to deal with problems, issues, material things, like post of Brahma or Indra. He doesn't want that. He doesn't even want the Ashta Siddhi, and he does not even want liberation. He doesn't want to be in the Brahman, because he just wants to engage in hearing and chanting about the Lord. So we can try to understand, or we are not even able to understand, how much bliss is there in hearing and chanting of the Lord, about the Lord, that the pure devotees just want to do that. They don't want to become Brahma. They don't want Indra. They don't want power. They don't want opulence. They don't want anything material. Now, they don't even want to sit in the Brahman. They want to continue hearing and chanting. So how much bliss is there in hearing and chanting of the Lord? In the 12th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, 10th chapter, verse 6, Lord Shiva says to Devi, my dear Devi, this great Brahmana, sage Markandeya, has attained unflinching faith and devotion unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and as such, he does not aspire after any benedictions, including liberation from the material world. So in the 12th canto, conversation between Lord Shiva and Sati, his wife, speaking in reference to Markandeya Rishi. Markandeya Rishi, Lord Shiva is saying he's a pure devotee. He has complete faith in the Lord. He has so much devotion in the Lord that he does not want anything else. He does not want he does not want any material benediction. Doesn't want to get any amount of riches or power or strength, or no, he doesn't want any of that. He doesn't even want to be in the Brahma Jyoti. He just wants to be engaged in devotional service to the Lord. Similarly, there's a statement in Padma Puran describing the ritualistic function during the month of Kartik, October, November. During this month in Vrindavan, it is a regulative principle to pray daily to Lord Krishna in his Damodar form. The Damodar form refers to Krishna in his childhood, when he was tied up with rope by his mother, Yashoda. So Damodar form, where Lord Krishna is tied at his belly by his mother with a rope. Dama means rope and Udar means abdomen. So he's bound at the belly by the ropes. So Mother Yashoda, being disturbed by naughty Krishna, bound him around the abdomen with a rope. Thus, Krishna is named Damodar. During Kartik, Damodar is prayed to as follows. So in Vrindavan, all the temples will have this Damodar pastime being heard, sung, chanted, glorified. All the temples, they will be offering the ghee lamb. And during Kartik, Damodar is prayed to as follows: My dear Lord, you are the Lord of all, the giver of all benedictions. There are many demigods like Brahma and Lord Shiva who sometimes offer benedictions to their respective devotees. Okay, so my dear Lord, you are the Lord of all, the giver of all benedictions. So who actually gives the benedictions is Krishna. Is Krishna. We may think the demigods are giving us this benediction, but actually the demigods can give us the benediction only after getting the authorization from Krishna. You know, like a certain department, the minister of, say, health, he can make certain rules and regulations because he has that power vested in him by the central government. That's why he can do it. If he didn't have it, he won't be able to do it. So there are many demigods like Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva who sometimes offer benedictions to their respective devotees. For example, Ravan was blessed with many benedictions by Lord Shiva, and Hiranyakashipu was blessed by Lord Brahma. But even Lord Shiva and Lord Brahma depend on the benedictions of Lord Krishna. So Ravan, he prayed to Lord Shiva. Lord Shiva gave him a lot of blessings. Hiranyakashipu prayed to Lord Brahma. Lord Brahma gave him a lot of blessings. But how do they get the power? How does Lord Shiva or Lord Brahma get the power to give these blessings to others? They are getting this power from Krishna. And therefore, Krishna is addressed as the Lord of all benefactors. So Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva, they are getting their power to bless others from Krishna. They're getting this authority from Krishna. As such, Lord Krishna can offer his devotees anything they want, but still the devotees' prayers continues. I do not ask you for liberation or any material facility up to the point of liberation. What I want as your favor is that I may always think of your form in which I see you now as Damodar. So the devotee Satyavrat Muni, he's praying. He can ask anything from Krishna. Krishna, he is giving the power to Brahmaji, to Lord Shiva. He is the one who's giving the power. So he can give anything. But what is the devotee asking? Say, I don't even want liberation. What I want to be able to see you as Damodar. You are so beautiful and attractive that my mind does not want anything besides this wonderful form. So he can ask Krishna anything. But he's asking Krishna, I want to see your beautiful form. This is all. I don't want liberation. I don't want any material opulence. I don't want anything else. In this same prayer, there is another passage in which it is said, My dear Lord Damodar, once when you were playing as a naughty boy in the house of Nanda Maharaj, you broke the box containing yogurt. And because of that, Mother Yashoda considered you an offender and tied you with rope to the household grinding mortar. At that time, you delivered the two sons of Kuber, Nala Kuber and Manigriva, who were staying there as two Arjuna trees in the yard of Nanda Maharaj. My only request is that by your merciful pastimes, you may similarly deliver. So what is the devotee praying? That you delivered Nala Kuber and Manigriva. So you kindly deliver me by your merciful pastimes. The story behind it. So the idea is what's being pointed out is that the devotee, they're not aspiring for any material opulence or any kind of liberation. What they want is just engage in devotional service to Krishna because they're experiencing so much happiness. It's not by force. It's not somebody's forcing them to pray in this way. But they're experiencing so much bliss, so much happiness that that's all they want, nothing else. The story behind this verse is that the two sons of Kuber, the treasurer of the demigods, were puffed up on account of the opulence of their father. And so once, on a heavenly planet, they were enjoying themselves in a lake with some naked damsels of heaven. At that time, the great Saint Narad Muni was passing on the road and was sorry to see the behavior of the sons of Kuvera. Seeing Narad passing by, the damsels of heaven covered their bodies with cloth. But the two sons, being drunkards, did not have this decency. Narad became angry with their behavior and cursed them thus: "You have no sense, so it is better if you become trees, instead the sons of Kuber." Upon hearing this, the boys came to their senses and begged Narad to be pardoned for their offenses. Narad then said, "Yes, you shall become trees, Arjuna trees, and you will stand in the courtyard of Nanda Maharaj. But Krishna himself will appear in time as the foster son of Nanda, and he will deliver you." In other words, the curse of Narad was a benediction to the sons of Kuvera, because indirectly it was foretold that they would be able to receive the favor of Lord Krishna. So Narad Muni's curse, now we may say, oh, how he's a saintly devotee, how come he's cursing someone? He's cursing them to become trees. But it's not a curse for them. They're going to be able to see Krishna. They're going to get pure devotional service. They're going to become personal associates of Krishna. So then it's not a curse. The pure devotee never has envy against us. His curse is also a benediction. And we can see that how much Krishna cares about the word of his devotee. Oh, Narad has told them, so I must deliver them. Otherwise, Krishna could have let them be in trees for however long. But he said, no, Narad Muni has given them this benediction. So I should make it true. So this is how Krishna and the devotee, they have such a loving relationship. After that, Kuber's two sons stood as two big Arjuna trees in the courtyard of Nanda Maharaj until Lord Damodar, in order to fulfill the desire of Narad, dragged the grinding mortar to which he was tied and struck the two trees, violently causing them to fall down. From out of these fallen trees came Nala Kuvera and Manigreva, who had by then become great devotees of the Lord. So they were observing the pastimes of the Lord. They are in the courtyard of Nanda Maharaj, so every day they are seeing baby Krishna's pastimes. So they became great devotees. So a devotee's curse is not a curse, it's a benediction. And Krishna, he's fulfilling the desire of Narad Muni. We can see the loving relationship between Narad Muni and Krishna. Krishna is God. Nobody can force him to do anything. He's completely independent. Yet he is saying, oh, Narad Muni has given this benediction to the two boys. Let me fulfill it. This is Krishna. Did anyone want to add or comment anything? Any questions?
This is so beautiful. So beautiful. Like, it is like nectar flowing and we are just listening and then got engrossed in it. Like every single word and line here was so, so, so powerful and meaningful, and how we could, practically also apply it in our lives. So this is really nectar of devotion. Like how it is named, it is. It is truly blissful. Yes.
Jai. Shla Prabhupada ki jai. Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Hare Krishna. Thank you so much for listening and enjoying.